Hi everyone, welcome back to Aspergers from the Inside. You're here with Paul. I make weekly videos sharing the human side of autism, so make sure you hit subscribe to get the latest content. So today's Patron's Choice video is on how to leverage your autistic strengths without alienating your neurotypical peers. So when I say neurotypical, I basically mean non-autistic peers. Those who may not understand that some of us can be incredibly gifted in certain areas and also incredibly disadvantaged in other areas as well. So in the process of trying to come across as very competent in everything, sometimes this can backfire because there's kind of two things we need to do simultaneously. One is actually be good at the job and manage things and survive and do everything we need to do. And the other thing is actually build the relationships and all the social aspects that kind of go along with that, whether that's in your family, with your friends, in a workplace. It's not enough to just be good at what you do and just get everything done. There's also the social aspect, and when we don't do either of those two things, then it can be a problem. So today we're looking at this from a fairly practical point of view. As some of you know, my special interest is emotional intelligence. So this goes to the core of a couple of really key emotional intelligence skills. So the first one is self-awareness around if I need to know myself, what I'm good at and what I need help with, so that I can set myself up for success to actually leverage my strengths and be able to use them. And the other one is probably the most advanced emotional intelligence skill, the fourth quadrant, if anyone's seen some of my stuff on that, of relationship management. So relationship management requires me to notice the emotions of the other people that I'm trying to manage my relationship with. It requires me to notice my own emotions and manage my own emotions, and then use all of that data to make sure that the other person feels good, for lack of a better word. So it actually come the title was around alienating our peers or our colleagues. And alienation comes from when we do something by ourselves and don't bring others with us, or we can't really connect with the other people around us. So what relationship management looks like is making other people feel good about our success so that they can celebrate with us rather than get jealous and feel like they need to cut us down because we've had this success. So let's start with the first one of leveraging your strength. What do we need to do so that we actually use what we're good at to do really well and succeed at maybe that I've got in mind in a workplace, but I'll see if I can transition that to think about some more broader context. But when I think about leveraging my autistic strengths, I usually think about a professional job or some project that I'm doing. Now, to do that, I need to play a game that I can win. A lot of situations and a lot of workplaces and a lot of social constructs are not set up in a way that I can win. You may have heard the phrase, the one who writes the rules wins the game. So if I am going to win the game, I need to tweak the rules a little bit, and I need to make sure that I'm playing a game that allows me to win. If I'm trying to play by everyone else's rules, I'm not going to do well in that environment. When I was an engineer, I remember I used to get really good feedback about a lot of things, and the constant bit of negative feedback that I would get is to be more confident in myself and to put my hand up for opportunities and positions and in meetings, and basically be more assertive, be more dominant, I guess, in that kind of a culture. So I'm just not naturally like that. I don't like to put my hand up and say, I'm the best person for this job. Maybe some of you have had that experience in a job interview, and it's hard because you're expected to go in there and say, I am the best person for this job. And it's not always easy to do that. So that is an example of a game with rules set up that are inherently disadvantaging me. So what I want to do instead is make sure that the rules that I'm playing by are ones that I can win. So I give some of this advice in the good jobs for people with Asperger's. The best thing that I can do is my results. I can do a really good job and I can perform and I can tick all the boxes and I can make sure that my results and my outcomes are absolutely top notch. So if I'm in a situation where that is what I'm going to be ranked on, then I'm going to do really well in that situation. So I don't want to be ranked on how many hours I spend in the office or how good are my networking skills or how often do I put my hand up in meetings, because I'm not going to win that game. So to leverage my strengths, I need to look for opportunities to be noticed and recognized for what I'm actually really good at. And so I know in my life, I often kind of in the past, I've bluffed a little bit and said, yeah, I can do everything. Yes, I'm completely fine with that. Just give it to me and I'll make sure that I perform with that. And fortunately, most of the time that's worked out for me, but there's a big risk in taking on too much of that responsibility myself, because what if I don't get the help that I need from others to actually succeed? So part of self-awareness is knowing what do I need from other people from this situation so that I can succeed. So in my case, I've got a very specific example from my work that I'm thinking about, and I needed really specific outcomes and really specific goals so that I knew exactly what was required from me and the time frames, and I needed all the tools. And once I had that goal so explicitly mapped out in my mind, I was able to say, yes, I feel really confident that I can do this. So I'll tell you a bit about the example that I'm thinking about. I used to work for Boeing, designing airplanes, essentially in Melbourne, in Australia. And my part of the airplane was the spoilers on the back of the wing. I was in charge of running all the models, all the load cases, and coming up with all the loads that interface with the other bits of the aircraft. And this suited me really well because I could essentially work more or less by myself. I didn't have a huge amount of interaction with other people. And I was in charge of the whole project, so I could set up the whole project how I needed to do it to make sure that the end result was extremely good. And I put my hand up to say, actually, I'm going to do a little bit more work. There's a similar product, right? A similar thing on the movable trailing edge of the aircraft that I want to do that one as well. And I'm going to put my hand up and do it in exactly the same time because I can manage this project myself. I'm going to completely outdo myself here and do a really fantastic job. And because I set up all the parameters to do that, I was able to actually succeed. So that's just the first part of setting up the situation to actually leverage your strengths. But once you have actually done a phenomenally fantastic job, sometimes that can be a problem socially. So the next part of the question is, how do I achieve that level of success without alienating my peers? And the key with this one is around that word. Alienation is something very alone. It's not connected to other people. It's doing it by myself. So I've got a list of things not to do, and I've got a list of opposite things that we can do. So number one of what not to do, don't go it alone. Don't try and do everything by yourself. When you do everything by yourself, you end up succeeding by yourself. It's harder to bring other people along with you. Whereas if you ask for help along the way, if you involve others in the process, even just a little bit, even just asking people for advice, even if you don't actually take it, you can then, when you get to the end, you can honestly say, thanks for your help with this project. You can include them in the success. I couldn't have done it without you, those kind of things. So another one is don't make it sound easy. Imagine I do a fantastic job and then I say, it was nothing. It took me 5 minutes. That has the potential to make the other person feel inadequate because they couldn't get anywhere near my level of results and it was easy for me. I'm just sort of rubbing it in their face how easy it is. So instead, we want to share a certain level of vulnerability rather than I'm cool, calm, and collected, and I've got everything under control, and I have done this without even breaking a sweat. I'm so amazing. Instead, I can say, this is just how I do things. I need to work 12 hours straight without taking a break because that's just how I do things. I got really excited and I did the whole project overnight. I'm sorry, but that's just how I do things. And almost apologizing for the way you're doing it helps people to think, oh, they're not just rubbing it in my face. They can't help it. So I can't help doing a fantastic job and making this. So in my engineering job, I completely reordered and restructured and made a full system to restructure how the whole project worked, and it was fantastic. Now, I wasn't doing that to show how bad the person before me was. I was doing that because that's just what I need to succeed. I need it to be really logical and organized, so that's what I did. There's another aspect, which is if we are sensitive to how other people around us feel, it's easier to bring them along without making them inadequate inadequate. So the biggest reason that people are going to get alienated by my success is if they feel like it takes something away from them, or if they feel like they're not good enough, or that I'm trying to tell them that I'm better than them in some way. So when I talk about my gifts, I try to let other people have a higher opinion about me than I would say about myself. So it's much better to say, oh yeah, I'm reasonably good at this. I'm fully trained. I've got this much experience, and I can do a decent job, knowing full well that actually I'm probably the best I've ever seen in my field here, but I'm just going to say I'm fully trained and I do a decent job. And then you can let other people say, actually, this person is amazing. Did you see that last thing that they did? How on earth did they do that? They are absolutely phenomenal at this particular strength that they have, whether it's drawing or music, or in my case, the engineering work that I was doing, or it could be anything. Whatever your autistic strength is, it's fantastic if you know how good you are at this. Actually, a great example of this in Hannah Gatsby's Nanette, she keeps saying the phrase, "I'm actually pretty good at this." And when I was hearing that, I'm like, this is understatement of the century. You are a absolute genius here. I've never seen anyone manage what you're doing as well as you're doing it. And you're saying, I'm actually pretty good at this. I actually know what I'm doing. And that was fantastic to hear. So So to bring others along, we want to make them feel good. We want to thank them for everything that they've done. We want to praise everything that they've done in terms of their efforts. So I might be fantastic at my little portion of the job, and I want to tell someone else what a great job they've done. Or and this is the hardest part, is when we honestly believe that everyone else around us is incompetent, which maybe you can relate to, feeling like everyone around you is incompetent. That is something that we need to work on ourselves, because if we go around sharing that either obviously or subtly that we think everyone else is incompetent, that is going to alienate ourselves, and what it doesn't do is build up the other people around us to actually support us. So showing that you care about how the other person feels and bringing them along and giving them little ways to share in your success, making it our success, not just my success. You helped me with this. And I remember that day when I asked you what you thought of my new idea and we talked about it. That was really helpful. Thank you for that. You're so good at, I don't know, think about all the things you can possibly do to make people feel good. You can thank them. You can tell them what they're good at. You can acknowledge and credit what they've done to help you and support you. There are so many things that we can do. And I don't mean to say this is easy. This is actually the most complicated thing that human beings do when managing relationships with each other, is managing how each other feel and helping each other to feel good. But it is definitely possible. So I might leave it there. I have gone through most of what I had that I thought I was going to go through. So I hope that's been helpful. If you'd like to have your say in next month's Patron's Choice video, you can become a cup of coffee supporter of this channel for less than $1 a week. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Hello to everyone who's watching live. It's great to have this little community that tunes in every week. So I will leave it there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next week. Bye.